Hello? Hello, this is the President. Hello, this is the President of the United States. Who is this? Is it you again?
Look behind you.
This is my private line. How did you get through?
They're everywhere. All the time. We see them every day. But you have to look behind you.
There is nothing behind me. How did you get this number?
The spaceman told me.
What spaceman?
It doesn't matter. I'm telling you about monsters. Please, you must look behind you.
Young lady, there are no monsters in the Oval Office.
The loudspeaker spoke up and said,
Wait, Jimmy.
the loudspeaker spoke up and said,
Wait,
the loudspeaker spoke up and said, give up, give up, give up, give up.
wait, Jimmy. Wait, Jimmy. Wait, Jimmy.
I'm Clyde Lewis, and this is Ground Zero. The numbers to call tonight, 503-225-0860. That's 503-225-0860. I don't always start off with a quote on my show, but it's a way to send this off in a great way. Who said it? I'm trying to think who said it. Okay. Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this. He said, all life is an experiment. The more experiments you make, the better. More chances you take, the better. The more, the more you knock on doors, chances are you're going to find somebody to connect with. The more you ask questions, you're going to find out the truth. And the more you neglect the truth, the more you ignore the truth, the lesser it becomes truth to you. The truthiness kind of wears off a bit. We like to pretend that all of our experiments we do define the truth for us. But that's often not the case. Just because an idea is true doesn't mean it can be proven. It doesn't mean it can be proved. And just because an idea can be proved doesn't mean it's true. When the experiments are done, at the end, we still have to choose what to believe. Surprising and exciting scientific findings capture our attention. Experiments that we do in life, they're exciting. We like to see things with the experimentation. We like to see things bring forward truth to us, or what we would call truth. But here's the thing. After finding out a truth, or after getting bombarded with what can be called truth, and after we're told that it's soundly established, what if it starts to disappear? What if that knowledge tends to fade out? I mean, anyone who has taken a course in the history or philosophy of science knows that there are times when events of history or some of the scientific claims, they lose their validity. They lose their I hate to use the word truthiness, but they lose their truthiness over time. The reason why I hate using the word truthiness is I think Stephen Colbert coined that phrase. But I'm just saying, truthiness sometimes can wear out. Anyone who's read or is well read knows that there's something called the decline effect. It's based on an article that appeared in the New Yorker that was called "The Truth Wears Off." And remember, I've told people many times when I do this show, a lot of it has to do with my recall. Okay. And I always call it my dusty Rolodex in my brain. And the reason why I call it my dusty Rolodex is because I'm learning now as I get older that if I'm not magnifying, or if I'm not reading, or if I'm not studying, I lose a lot of that recall. I mean, I speak Spanish, right? But I haven't practiced my Spanish in at least 20 years. Every once in a while, I use it when I want to direct a Grubhub driver to my house if he's delivering me a late night snack or something. I have to speak Spanish. Sometimes it's difficult, but they tell me, hey, you speak it fine. Yeah, I speak it fine for a sixth grader because all that truth, all of that knowledge is wearing off, and I need to expand upon it. I need to magnify it. So that's called the decline effect. When the truth wears off or when knowledge wears off, you have to find a way to get it again. And there's always been this tendency of scientific claims to also receive or see a decrease in support over time. The idea that a parapsychologist by the name of J.B. Rhine in the 1930s said that there was apparent drop-off in ESP with his students. He said the ESP was going well, and all of a sudden, if they didn't magnify it or if they didn't learn or if they just kind of took for granted they had it, it would decline. But some people argue that the decline in knowledge, the decline in truth is really a decline of illusion, meaning that we should be reminded of how difficult it is to prove anything, how difficult it is to maintain skills if we don't keep using them. And we've been told by the experts out there that science is settled. I mean, we've been told that our destruction from a climate crisis is inevitable, and yet we're all still here, right? And so the more dramatic the researchers claim, the more likely he may be able to get published and to obtain funding for more research. And other researchers jump on the bandwagon doing follow-up studies that because of the unconscious bias in favor of the initial claim, they often corroborate with it. And only gradually does counter-evidence emerge, showing that the initial correlation stemmed not from causation, but from coincidence. That's why you're having a hard time getting doctors to come forward and talk about COVID again, trying to repackage and re-report what they tried to report during the times that they were shutting people down for reporting contrary reports with regards to the health and safety of people with COVID-19 and the vaccines. Because there were so many people that jumped on the bandwagon and they didn't do enough follow-up studies. They just jumped on the bandwagon because there was something in it for them, whether it be money or prestige or whatever. And we've been told many times when it comes to climate, like let's go back to climate for a moment. We've been told many times that in the last 30 years, we've been told that we're doomed to become like Venus and overcome by CO2. However, to avoid any decline effect, so people just, so they keep thinking about it, we now are seeing efforts without proof that anomalous weather patterns are proof of global warming. The goalposts are always moved, and the truthiness of something like global warming should be meeting its nadir. But of course, it hasn't, because just like nuclear war, we're now being told that everything is winnable if we just believe the scientists, if we just believe the science, if we just believe the World Economic Forum, if we just believe their people. And that's the thing. Nuclear war has always been a deterrent to war, but because of mutually assured destruction, we were worried that if anybody drops a bomb, we're all going to die. But now, mutually assured destruction has met its decline effect, because here we have Russia and the United States continuing their brinkmanship and hinting that any limited nuclear exchange can be winnable and survivable. See, where's the science there? Because science is never pure, it's never complete, and it's most definitely seasoned by cultural context and moral values of the times. Where are moral values when it comes to nuclear war? They're gone now. Why? Because we have leaders that are willing to push the button. We have leaders that are willing to do the words, the fighting words, and they put us in a situation where we're on the edge of our own extinction. I know that's radical to think about, but where is the decline effect? The decline effect is whether or not we're safe, whether or not we believe the truths of the Cold War, and whether or not they're true or less true now. 503-225-0860. That's 503-225-0860. Back with more Ground Zero. Don't go away. You're listening to Ground Zero. I'm Clyde Lewis. It's a radical thought that there could be some sort of collective consciousness that's habituating and affecting how we define what truth is. There may be some peculiar way about the nature of reality that somehow it gets into the ether and then it spreads like a contagion. And that's perhaps what is deep down inside of all of us right now. What is deep down inside of us rules out all things in the end. And so concerns change as the unconscious mind changes. We have an unconscious mind that does dictate some of the things that we do. Our dreams dictate some of the things that we do. Our innermost thoughts, if we don't control them, they dictate what we do. The notion that the laws of reality are unchangeable is an assumption. It's a reasonable assumption, but we don't know it for a fact. And there have been physicists who have even speculated that perhaps the rules change as time goes on. You know, we're going to find new realities and how the unconscious mind changes individual reality. If the voice of the unconscious mind that is rarely heard hides deep down inside all of us, it's going to find a way to get out because it's been suppressed with conscious awakening. That still voice, that light of Christ, that Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. And what is most troubling is that thinking this way sometimes creates doubt in people. If you trust your conscience, if you trust your conscience, that's great. But if you are confused and you feel you're not getting sustenance with regard to spirituality, you can never actually know anything for sure. Because reality could change based on your position, how you're observing it, habits, biases, information, that thing. Take, for example, the use of aspirin, okay? When you were young, you would take an aspirin for headache, or you would take the orange-flavored children's aspirin, and because you were told that it's enough, you didn't question the effectiveness, okay? But over time, you realize that you don't think aspirin can do the job. There's been this new study or this new finding that people now need something stronger. So you're thinking, well, no, aspirin, no, children's aspirin, no, I need something stronger. So you start to part ways with aspirin over time. I don't know many people who still take aspirin or Anacin or Bufferin or whatever. It just isn't effective enough to kill your headache. A lot of people are, it's just not effective enough to kill my headache. But here's the truth. The truth is that in most cases, it's still effective in reducing headache pain. Some research shows that it's effective at reducing migraine pain. Specifically, when you experience a migraine headache, your body is overproducing a compound called, I think it's called prostaglandin. So prostaglandin is a hormone that helps send pain signals to the brain. Now, even though aspirin circulates through the entire body after you swallow it, the drug acts only at sites where this hormone is, where it's actively produced. So when the production of this hormone is impaired, the pain signals sensed by the brain stop. No more pain signals, no more headache, all with the use of just plain aspirin. In addition, aspirin's role as a platelet inhibitor or an antiplatelet drug can also help with your migraine. Aspirin reduces the ability of platelets to aggregate or stick together, and in migraine, platelets aggregate, causing them to release serotonin into your bloodstream, and this eventually leads to the vascular actions and other effects of migraine. So let's suppose you went to the doctor and complained of migraine, and he said to you, just take 2 Anacin and call me in the morning. And you would say, obviously my doctor sucks. He doesn't care about my pain. Because now your migraine medicine has to have a cool name, or it has to have a narcotic in it to make it more truthy for you. I can't take that. I need a narcotic. I can't take that because I need something more. Well, you see, the science here doesn't always seem comfortable, right? So the science is that aspirin is effective. To have a doctor tell you that aspirin is effective may not sit well with you because you want something more. You think you need something stronger. So here's a fact. Excedrin, which of course is the number 5 most used aspirin on the market, it got smart with their marketing one day. As Excedrin was working to reestablish its business in the pain relief category, Excedrin had to rely on its specialist status for headaches, not just any kind of pain relief, but to differentiate itself and persuade consumers to switch from a general product or purchase Excedrin. So the result was various products, all with the same ingredients, but marketed for certain types of pain. There was Excedrin migraine relief, Excedrin tension headache, there's Excedrin extra strength. So all with the same ingredients. The Excedrin pills all have the same ingredients, but they were marketed to show that it works for simple headaches and pains, for migraine, extra strength. So, does this make aspirin any more or less effective? No, it doesn't. But the perception of it being specialized and scientifically targeted makes it more appealing. Oh, I see. This is a special type of Excedrin that will focus on my migraine pain. Well, here's the real story. The aspirin or the Excedrin that sits in the bottle that says no migraine is still going to affect your migraine. During the 1980s, the owner of the restaurant franchise A&W launched a new 1/3 pound burger to compete with McDonald's Quarter Pound Burger or the Quarter Pounder. So A&W launched a third is the word campaign to advertise their new 3rd pounder hamburger. Well, it didn't sell, even though it offered more meat for the same price as McDonald's. It was a 4th pound burger. They offered the 3rd pounder. So the A&W 3rd pounder never sold like the company thought it would, even though they advertised it heavily on TV and radio. So they hired a market research firm to try and figure out why the burger wasn't selling. I mean, come on, you're getting more meat and you're getting a less price. Why isn't it selling? Well, the firm conducted a focus group and found that around half the people surveyed thought that the A&W 1/3 pound burger was smaller than the McDonald's Quarter Pounder. They would say, well, why would we pay the same amount for 1/3 of a pound of meat as we do for a 1/4 pound of meat? See, what the customers were doing was they were reacting to the size of the denominators. 3 is smaller than 4, so a 1/4 pound burger must be larger, right? Well, they failed to recognize that the magnitude of a fraction depends on the relationship between its numerator and denominator. So A&W knew they couldn't solve the problem by teaching the public how to understand fractions, so they changed the name of the 3rd pounder to the Papa Burger, and now it's their biggest selling burger to date. See, this is important to know. And why? Well, it's important to know when you consider that there are so-called science experts out there, and there are political experts out there that are willing to tell you that your choices are wrong, even though they are doing this psychologically and it's counterintuitive for you. Because they're banking on the idea that you're too ignorant to figure this out. I mean, you just have to think to yourself, right? Now, wait a second. What's going on here? Is it really that simple? Is a 3rd pounder bigger than a 1/4 pounder? Well, that 4 is bigger than the 3. What's wrong with me? Why don't I understand this? It's because you just don't think about it. And you have to talk to yourself and have an inner dialogue. I mean, there may be something spooky in the universe right now, or you haven't necessarily came to that scientific process and thinking that something spooky is in the universe right now. Or, in some sense, you're undermined by all things you don't even know anything about. I don't know anything about that. But I believe whatever somebody tells me. I don't know anything about COVID-19 really, but since Fauci says something, I believe him, because why would he be picked to tell me how to live my life if he wasn't an expert? Why would Bill Gates be chosen to tell me how to live my life if he wasn't an expert? That's the thing. That's the block. That's the problem. Both men are horrible human beings. Now, why were we following them? Well, because we didn't have anything else to go by. We were all being told that these guys were the guys. Everything was shut down. From flatten the curve to the new normal to the Great Reset. It's not been hard to understand the messages going on since the pandemic. And that distinct lack of disguise actually has carried over into other topics too. How do we analyze the truth when it's being manipulated? How do we analyze the truth when they bank on your ignorance? Ignorance is not a very good excuse. At least it's not working for those people who are suffering because they don't think for themselves. 503-225-0860. That's 503-225-0860. I'm Clyde Lewis. You're listening to Ground Zero, and we'll be back.
In the 1980s, A&W launched an advertising campaign to promote a new 3rd pound burger.
We think we're going to have a problem with our clients. We don't think this is an appropriate vehicle for our clients' advertising.
Hyper real. Making destruction funny is the key to the commercial.
Are you one of those that follows the ads?
Look, people, you heard it on the radio. You seen it on a TV show.
Old media has been co-opted into legitimizing fake news by letting it appear next to it.
I wonder if you know that I know he's lying right now.
Pause for a moment.
Third Pound Burger.
Pause for a moment.
Here goes my
And reflect on this very thoughtfully. You can actually cause the consumer to forget something he has previously learned by putting into his head a newer and stronger concept.
My penis? My
Third Pound Burger.
You can actually remove an advertising story from his memory, and in its place, you can substitute one of your own.
Everybody thought that 1/3 was smaller than 1/4 because, 4 is bigger than 3. The whole thing went down in history as a huge marketing fail.
As we seize a larger and larger share of the consumer's brain box.
And we've spent the last 40 years crunching the numbers.
We get into a loop.
Either or.
It's really hard to make decisions about everything.
Black, white.
So I want to take those things that I do every single day.
I and you.
And I want to put them in a part of my brain that doesn't work as hard.
This is the correct way to be fooled.
We and you.
We essentially store patterns.
We, the crowd.
We tend to believe almost all patterns we encounter, even the false ones.
Good and bad.
Your brain actually stops working so hard when you're in the middle of a habit.
And we're not very good at discriminating between true and false patterns.
And already you are separated into two camps, and you are on the point of fighting about absolutely non-existent differences.
And then I tried to figure out what the reward was, and I thought it was the cookie.
Turns out, Americans are just terrible at math. Like, really bad.
It doesn't feel like we're thinking.
I'm Clyde Lewis. You're listening to Ground Zero. So do you trust all the information you get, or what about all the stuff you learned when you were a kid and you grew up and you're thinking, well, I don't think it's as true now as it was before? Do you understand that aspirin, in its simplest form, can actually cure a migraine or actually take a migraine away from you? You don't need to go out and buy these amazing prescriptions because, something as simple as aspirin can kill it. Well, it's because of marketing. You're deciding you want to buy something stronger. I want something stronger. Of course, the A&W hamburger, the third versus the quarter pounder. People thought a third was less because they, and then we hear stories like with COVID-19, how they were able to utilize the death factor to motivate you into getting a shot for something that had a mortality rate that was super low. And the people, like 96% of those that got it recovered from it. And then they tell you, well, if you get the shot, you won't have as many complications, you see. So we flattened the curve. That didn't last. Then they talk about the new normal. Then they're saying, well, now you're used to the idea of being locked down and treated like serfs. We're going to give you the Great Reset. See, it's not hard to mention, or it's not hard to point this stuff out to people if they're using common sense. But see, now we're getting other phrases to be used to get us to think differently. They want to run these home into your head. For example, lately I've been hearing the phrase domestic terrorism. It's actually catching on, mostly by liberal zombies lacking constitutional knowledge. They're backing the idea of oppression because they don't agree with people that have ideas that are different from their own politically. They want to create a scapegoat. The notion that a political leader, or anyone for that matter, is entirely bad or good is puerile. The same consideration can be given to nation states, political systems, or even models of world order. The character of a human being, a nation, or a system of global governance is better judged by their or the totality of the actions that you see coming from these people. And that's why whenever I talk about Joe Biden, immediately people say, well, he's better than the old guy. And now we're hearing about that they're going to sue his entire family. And they're all going, look, he's getting what he deserves. But what about Russian collusion? Is that something that doesn't have truth anymore? Is the truthiness kind of going away there? Or do people still hold a candle to that nonsense? I mean, whatever we consider to be the source of good and evil, it all exists in every single one of us at either ends of the spectrum. Some people exhibit extreme levels of being a psychopath, which can lead them to commit acts that are just be evil. But even Hitler had a penchant for painting beautiful roses before he became a dictator. A horrible, horrible dictator. The psychopath that you don't know. That's the thing. The unassuming nebbish, the old maid that you at least suspect going about their day, entertaining those dark thoughts about what they want to do to people they don't agree with. He or she can be anyone. The person who walks their dog every day, the mailman, the neighbor that smiles and says hello to you every day. Isn't always that guy? Oh, he was quiet. He didn't bother anybody. He always smiled and said hello. He always had a joke to tell. You know, that's the same guy that they find that has his mother in a freezer, a house full of cats, some of them dead. Yeah, that's the guy that smiled a lot and told a lot of jokes and made you feel good. See, I always hear on the news people who say, he was friendly. He never bothered anyone. It's such a shock to the neighborhood. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know if anyone remembers. There was an old Twilight Zone called Button Button. It's about a couple that they're struggling to make ends meet and they're looking for a break, and then the knock comes to the door. This guy's standing there, and there's a note that says, Mr. Stewart's going to come visit you. Mr. Stewart has got something for you. He comes to the door, and then he explains to the woman in the house. He says, well, we've got a key to a box, and if you press the button, then two things will happen. You'll receive $2 million in cash, but consequently, someone whom you don't know will die. So Stewart leaves. The stranger, weird dude leaves, and so the man and the woman wonder whether Stewart's proposal is genuine, and then they debate whether to press the button. And then the woman rationalizes that they could make a good use of the money, that the one who dies might be an old Chinese peasant or a person with cancer, and so the man hypothesizes that pressing the button could cause the death of an innocent baby. But then they open the box and discover it to be empty with no mechanism. So, but the button could be for whatever purpose, whatever. So after arguing over what to do, the woman pushes the button. The next day, the strange guy comes back. He opens up a briefcase with $2 million. The woman asks, what are we going to do with the money? And the strange guy says, well, you should spend it. And the woman says, well, what will happen to the box? And the guy says, well, the button will be reprogrammed and offered to someone else with the same terms and conditions. And just before leaving, Stewart, the strange guy, focuses on the woman and ominously states, and I can assure you that the box the person we offer the box to is someone you don't know. So when faced with the pressures we're in today, there's some people that are at their wits' end, and all around us, we're seeing nightmares play out all the time. And with these nightmares, there are people all around us that are using these times as an excuse to be a monster. And that's the problem. I mean, I'm beginning to notice behaviors in people, especially on social media. And these behaviors spit in the face of morality. The other night I did that show about B movies, and I talked about how, you look at these B movies and you laugh at them today because we become so cynical. And it happens that what we once believed was scary is not so scary anymore. It's, again, part of this deficit, part of this decline factor. It's all, there's a decline. Things that were simple that used to scare us don't scare us anymore. So we have to turn up the scare volume a little more. It's not enough to scare you. Now we have to gut teenage cheerleaders in the movies. Never used to be that way. We used to be scared by other things. But no, now we have to slice and dice those at a camp with a guy in a hockey mask. It's because we have that decline factor. That what was once scary to us when we were kids is no longer scary to us now. What was once true to us when we were kids is no longer truth now. So we have to find a way to really dig in and learn about what is really inside every single one of us in our unconscious minds. 503-225-0860. It's 503-225-0860. Back with more Ground Zero. Don't go away. I was saying, did that show with Butch Patrick about B horror films. Chuck Serino was on too, and it's my passion, a lot of them. And I was talking with Wes about a particular show that I thought it really scared me, even though it was a ripoff of The Exorcist. It's called Beyond the Door. And one of the things about the Beyond the Door that I remember well is that it opened with a narrative in the beginning. It's the voice of a British man, and this is what he says. He says, "Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask for your attention just for a minute? Soon you'll be caught up in the events taking place on the screen, and then you'll forget about me. Well, almost anyway. You see, I must confess to a certain feeling of propriety towards the story that's about to begin, because you're modest, though it may sound I play an extremely important part in the proceedings. In fact, without me, there really wouldn't be any story at all, of course. I mean, you won't actually see me. Unfortunately, in recent centuries, it has gone out of fashion. There was a time when I'm always being painted or impersonated in one way or the other. And as you know, I've always been given the best lines. However, like all of us, I'd have to learn to adapt to what is absurdly called a rational age. And I've done so by, well, shall we say, going underground. And no doubt some of you will be rationalists. The skeptics will say, like the little girl in this picture, that what you see can't exist. What you can't see can't exist. Well, my friends, you go on thinking that what you can't see can't exist, as long as you care, because sooner or later, one way or another, you're going to discover your mistake. Anyway, now, I'll leave you alone in the dark and let my little story take over. Enjoy yourself, and don't forget that the stranger sitting in the seat next to you could be me. As you watch, you realize that the man speaking to the audience is the devil. And what the devil's trying to say to you is you never know who you come in contact with on a day-to-day basis. You could be dealing with the devil, and the devil could smile and make you feel good and everything. But see, the decline effect applies to matters of the soul. People are now too cool to stand up for morality or God. Some will tell you that they know exactly what the devil does. They know exactly what God wants. But then they somehow find a way to insert some hateful judgment on someone, thinking that this is what real religion is supposed to be. It's how my truth is practiced. But it leaves the all-loving and inviting Christian looking like a psychopathic hypocrite. See, Jesus can appear to be a beggar looking for bread. And the devil can do the same thing. The devil has a way of disguising himself inside a person. And here's where you get the basis for many of those horror movies where people are the cruelest to their fellow man. See, inside the criminal mind, the myth of out-of-character crime, there was a criminologist who conceptualizes and gives credence to the specific traits and behaviors of the criminal mind. He not only illustrates the thinking processes involved in law-breaking and antisocial behavior, but he also, however, unintentionally instructs the more normally oriented among us of self-entitlement. And everybody needs to be wary of people who think they have self-entitlement or who have self-entitlement. It all begins somewhere. And when we see radical hatred being spread all over because of identity politics, racial discrimination, and the fear of being infected with some sort of disease, we begin to see something worse than a viral pandemic. We start to see a pandemic of lack of morality. We have to take this into consideration, and we got to look at our behaviors, because here we're seeing how we react to people who have differences with us. It's very ugly to see what is happening, the division that's going on. And again, going back to the mechanics of satanic panic. Satanic panic was a media term given to people who allegedly were making up stuff about satanic ritual, allegedly were making up stuff about how Satan was involved with churches and Satan was involved with businesses. It was all allegedly. Now, though, is it truly satanic panic? Are people, actually dropping away from religion? Are young people becoming witches and pagans? Are young people joining satanic cults? We hear about them all the time in Hollywood. We hear about them all the time. The whole Armie Hammer story is out now about him wanting to eat people, his cannibalism fetish. Is it all fiction? Let's go now to Andrew in North Carolina. Hey, Andrew, you're on Ground Zero.
Hey, Clyde, thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
On the last subject about these satanic rituals, I think it's really satanic paranoia. And, they're paranoid, just like a like a sports game, people putting their hats on weird because they find as though because they did it last time, somehow it's sort of relevant to what they're doing. Kind of like the children of Israel melting their gold earrings and praying to a golden calf. People are superstitious, right?
Right. Well, they rationalize that things are truer than others, right? And they want to believe the most outrageous that's thrown at them. But we see now, it's not a matter of, is it happening? It is happening. And when you say, guess what, guys? It's like Nietzsche when we talked about the guy running through the marketplace saying that God is dead. And they said, oh, he's overreacting. God is not dead. Well, the lamp is out. There's no light in my lamp. What am I supposed to do? Well, just light the lamp. Well, no. God is dead.
Let me. Lighter.
Yeah, what's that?
Have a lighter.
Yeah. Well, but people don't think that way anymore.
Pocket.
They don't think that way anymore.
And that was like my initial point was like, people have no instinct anymore.
No.
There is no instinct. Like bears and lions still do the same thing that they have been doing since they've been created.
Yeah.
People today have no instinct.
No.
And that kind of defines their conscience and what you're talking about aspirin and migraines.
Yeah.
People sit. They never breathe. The first time I ever called into your show was on your 9/11 event, and I am a former operator in the military, retired. And what we taught all the time goes back to like what the American Indians would do for the common flu, and that is deep breathing technique, easily found on YouTube. Wim Hof, the Iceman. People think, oh, this is crazy, but it's not.
If your doctor told you to do deep breathing when you had a migraine, you'd probably get rid of the doctor. If the doctor told you just go home and take Excedrin, you would probably drop the doctor, and that's the whole point.
Just like, I completely agree. But again, because people don't have any instinct, they don't even try it.
No,
like just try a deep breathing technique and try taking a cold shower. Oh, that's nuts, right? No, it's not really.
There's a reason why chicken soup works, right? There's a reason why if you have a cold, chicken soup works, right? And people say, no. I had some guy.
You were just playing about the hamburgers.
Right.
I mean, think it's like, I had a friend of mine who was a Mormon.
Yeah.
And he said to me one time, his father was in the agency. His mother was a helicopter pilot.
Right.
And he said, they had this wedding, and they gave him 2 years worth of food as a wedding present.
Sounds like a Mormon
and
wedding.
I was like, well, that's interesting. And they were like, he's like, I'll tell you another thing. If they advertise it on television, don't eat it or drink it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, to each his own, but I'm just saying that some of the simplest things that we've neglected over time are fading away because we just don't believe they're truthful anymore. We say, the truthiness has kind of wore off on this thing. But yet, they've been solid all this time. What changed them? What changed them was context. What changed them was the experts stepped in and said, well, this is the way things are. And what changed them is the idea that we're seeing in front of us the literal evil going from door to door. And as I say, the mechanics of satanic panic, the moves towards, we're back to shooting up schools. We're back to threatening with nuclear weapons. Whatever happened to learning from our mistakes? It just doesn't exist. Either that or they're making this happen because people are so eager to believe that the world's going to hell. And it probably is. But all I'm saying is that there's something deep inside of us that sits there and tells us that the world is ending and that the devil's in control. 503-225-0860. It's 503-225-0860. I'm Clyde Lewis. You're listening to Ground Zero, and we'll be back. Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero. With the rise of the cancel culture and an increase in social media censorship, we need to make a big change. So we decided to create a very unique digital platform. It's called Aftermath.media. It's an exclusive online multimedia library featuring an interactive social media section with a chat room, videos, audio clips, Archive Ground Zero podcasts, documents, books, and magazines. Our news aggregator provides current news relating to many of the topics we cover. We're expanding our research and study groups as well, which presently includes Tracy Twyman, William Cooper, Nate Russell, and Jim Keith. Also, check out popular podcast Conspirafact with Wes and Bill. Updated apps will be available soon. The monthly subscription for Aftermath is only $10 a month, and if you sign up now for the yearly subscription, it's only $79. If you want to hear the shows you love and support Great Talk Radio, go to aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Spinning complacently in the darkness, covered and blinded by a blanket of little lives, false security has lulled the madness of this world into a slumber. Wake up. An eye is upon you, staring straight down and keenly through, seeing all that you are and everything that you can never be. Yes, an eye is upon you, an eye ready to blink. So face forward, with arms wide open and mind reeling. Your future has arrived. Are you ready to go?
The loudspeaker spoke up and said,
Wait, Jimmy.
The loudspeaker spoke up and said,
Wait, Jimmy.
The loudspeaker spoke up and said,
Wait, Jimmy.
Give up. Give up. Give up. Give up. Give up.
Wait, Jimmy. Wait, Jimmy. Wait, Jimmy.
I'm Clyde Lewis, and this is Ground Zero. The number is to call tonight, 503-225-0860. That's 503-225-0860. Have you ever felt that the truth is elusive? You ever felt like what was once true for you when you were younger is no longer true now? You find yourself being more skeptical about so-called truths coming from politicians or science experts. Many of us are that way. And I was wondering if there was some sort of terminology for this, and I found it. It was called the decline effect. The decline effect basically states that many scientifically discovered effects published in the literature seem to diminish with time. It's an anomaly. The decline effect is an anomaly that was first discovered in the 1930s with research into parapsychology, in which the statistical significance of purported evidence for psychic ability declined as studies kept repeating over and over again. Simply put, over time, things we believe in or things that we consider truth, they change over time, and sometimes it loses that veneer of truthiness, and we tend to be distracted, and we tend to look into other things. This happens with age. It happens with context. It happens with changes in morality. I guess you could say the zeitgeist seems to dictate a lot of what goes on in the unconscious mind. And some scientists attribute the decline effect to statistical self-correction of initially exaggerated outcomes, meaning that science exaggerates the future and then somehow it corrects itself. I believe this is going to happen with climate change. I believe this is going to happen with COVID-19. We're going to look back and we're going to find that the access to the negative results literally took away the choice to look at what would be positive in all this. They use the negative results to get people to take the vaccine. People are now doubting a lot of things they're being told these days. They're also questioning their spiritual standings and whether or not they believe the same way about God, relationships, having children. So many things are changing, and we wonder why. Why are people changing their minds? I can say that I think a lot of this has to do with the unconscious mind, what the unconscious mind is telling us. David John Oates, of course, is the main man who says that he has a key to that inner voice that exists in all of us. It can predict the future. It can reveal the truth. And when it's tested, it seems to indicate that human beings have an inner voice that guides them, and in some cases even fools them into believing the most outrageous of things. See, in 1984, David John Oates first heard about backward messages in rock and roll, and a new hobby was born, playing tapes backwards. And he rapidly became obsessed with this new hobby, and by 1987, he had developed a theory about reverse speech. Since that time, David has had an active career now spanning over 33 years, furthering the field of reverse speech as his full-time occupation. He has developed new theories and designed therapeutic and training techniques with reverse speech. He has published several books on reverse speech, including Beyond Backward Masking, Voices from the Unconscious, and It's Only a Metaphor, and numerous tapes and training manuals. And overcoming a stutter that he once had using reverse speech, he lectured around the world to crowds of thousands. He trained hundreds of students. He has also instigated some of the first mainstream studies and presented reverse speech on thousands of radio shows, including his own show, the David John Oates Reverse Speech Show. It ran successfully for 3 years. It was syndicated coast to coast in the United States, and David had lived here for 10 years in the 1990s. He's gone back to Australia, but he's a certified hypnotherapist. He's a trainer. He currently attends to his therapy and corporate consulting business using reverse speech techniques. David John Oates, it's good to have you back on the program.
Hey, Clive. Good to be here. That was a nice little intro you gave me there.
You bet. Well, here's the thing. The reason why we've called you, I mean, usually we have you on the show twice a year.
Right. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised when you asked.
There's a reason, because we're having you here, first of all, to report on the webinar that you're going to be having in the Aftermath Media Library tomorrow. Can you tell us about that and what that's going to be like?
Oh, right. Okay. I'm going to cover some basic first steps for new people on how they can do it for themselves, giving them the first steps to finding their own reversals. I am going to go into some reversals I can't play on the air.
Yeah.
That will be able to be played in the webinar. It'll be questions, answers. It'll just be 2 hours of fun, really.
Right.
Covering a lot of the stuff I don't get time to cover on the air, like the nitty-gritty of finding your own reversals and how to interpret them.
And I think that's great, because, I mean, no one can understand reverse speech unless they attend one of your seminars, one of your webinars, because I've seen it in action. I have been to at least 2 of them. One of them was really astounding, because there was a guy that you did immediate reversals on people. A lot of people in the audience. One woman freaked out and left because it revealed something about her that she didn't want to have revealed to people. There was another guy that he said in his reversals that he had stolen some money, and it was funny because he admitted that he actually stole money from his boss to come to the seminar.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, it was like, it was just bizarre to see how reverse speech actually does work, and how, it's the innermost thoughts of the unconscious mind.
Yeah. People get amazed. Especially when new client. I just had a new client start last week, and we went over the reversals last night, and he was just staggered. He said, "I didn't believe these things would be so clear. I thought you'd be just trying to find amongst gibberish,
Right.
But they're very clear. And in private session work, of course, it gets down to the nitty-gritty of the patterns you're running and the hidden secrets you don't want people to find out.
Exactly.
It's all very exciting.
There's another reason why I'm bringing you on, and a lot of it has to do with what I've been talking about recently on my program. I remember back when you were on the show and you were playing a series of reversals where you were so surprised that many of the people, even your clients you were talking to, were actually talking about Satan in their reversals. There was a huge amount of them, including a lot of well-known preachers and others. And I want you to find some of those, because I want to show how this type of inner voice is actually speaking loudly now, because there was a recent article that I read in NBC or MSNBC stating that satanic panic has made it again back into the zeitgeist, and that religious affiliation is going away. People are joining pagan groups and witchcraft groups, and a lot of Latinos are worshiping Santa Muerte. There are a lot of satanic religious cults that are organizing right now. So we're going to start off with that, the darkness, I guess, with David John Oates tonight, Reverse Speech. He's having his webinar tomorrow at Aftermath.media. You got to go there, Aftermath.media. I think it's at 2 p.m. tomorrow. So that's Pacific time at Aftermath.media. David John Oates coming up. Stay tuned. 503-225-0860. Don't go away. David John Oates with us tonight on Ground Zero. And tonight, I wanted to demonstrate how reverse speech can predict the future. I want to start off with that, because we've always talked about how reverse speech can predict the future. Last year, we saw the world, we did the world in reverse. We do that every year, at the end of the year. We do it also in June. Every 6 months, we do a reverse speech show. But I wanted to talk about David's webinar, first of all, but then I wanted to also point out something, that back at the end of last year, David demonstrated that in many reversals that he was getting from clients and from discussions with political discussions from people in politics, also religious figures, David was getting reversals that would speak openly about Satan and the coming darkness. Now, I remember, back then David was concerned, and I wondered what was coming. I sort of knew what was coming, but lately, recent reports from the mainstream they're now naming it the new satanic panic. It reminded me of all those reversals. Now, they're saying conversation about satanic entertainment is providing this. There's a new show called Little Demon from Disney. Religious demographics are changing. They're saying that many Christians are in transition now. They're rejecting Jesus completely, moving to darker realms of worship. They're looking into things like witchcraft, Santeria, paganism, and Satanism. Some are worshiping Nordic gods, and they're saying if this continues, Christianity, or at least people who follow Jesus, are going to become the minority. David John Oates with us tonight on Ground Zero. So, I guess we can go back in time, maybe a few months ago, a little under 6 months ago, when you were playing us some of the most dark, I guess you could call them reversals that indicated that something satanic was coming our way.
Yes, indeed. Well, I think probably the reversal that really put me onto this was one I found on Biden. And let me pull that one up real quick. This is and he was predicting something. He was predicting something dark coming, and it comes out in this reversal here. So here is the forwards.
One of the great gifts of the spirit of independence. And think about this. One of the great gifts is our capacity to see ourselves whole and see ourselves honestly.
Now, this is on the 4th of July, so this is on Independence Day. His Independence Day speech last year, and he says backwards, "You're not safe, Armageddon." So that is an ominous prediction.
Look where we are now, David. Think about where we are now. Back then, Biden was saying that, and his reversal indicated Armageddon. Look where we are now, where Putin is discussing nuclear weapons. Biden was on 60 Minutes telling him not to use them. We have armies gathering around Israel right now, from Romania to Turkey to, 300,000, maybe more reservists being called up. Right now they're conscripting a number of, soldiers to fight in the war in Russia. this is definitely gathering to be something that would be akin to Armageddon.
I know, it's very scary. I'm watching the world events and I'm going, wow. There's a lot building up, and reversals, quite frankly, have been pointing to this for years. Talking about, not for years, for a couple of years, talking about reversals predicting the future. I might go back about 2 years, and I was finding all these reversals about something coming. For example, this one here. This is on a client.
It sounds like this is something we might ought to be doing and figuring out how to. Oh, what if let's see. If we could...
So this is just a normal client talking, and backwards she says, instant, we'll feel a war.
Instant, we'll feel a war. Instant, we'll feel a war.
And there it is.
Instant, we'll feel a war.
So that is predicting something coming. And here's another client.
This has helped. The COVID has been a big blessing in that respect.
And here she says, I see the rockets fly.
I see the rockets fly. I see the rockets fly. I see the rockets fly.
And we are seeing rockets fly right now.
Yeah, we are. I recall these reversals, and I remember when we heard them, we could only speculate, what is happening. And now we're seeing definitely things that don't make any sense. Like, for example, limited, I guess you could say a limited nuclear exchange where Putin has said that he wants to drop bombs in the Black Sea, and others are saying that he might just do that. What are we going to do if there is a limited nuclear exchange, that maybe Putin's generals will shoot him on the spot if he decides to push the button? All these things are strange, scary, Dr. Strangelove kind of topics. And like I said, I mean, you were playing these reversals saying this is coming, Biden's Armageddon, but it also, pointed to the idea of the dark, I guess you call it his infernal majesty, the dark prince, the Antichrist and the devil coming our way.
Oh, yeah, I should play you. I got some pretty freaky reversals on Prince Charles. Not Prince Charles, King Charles.
King Charles now, yeah.
That's hard to get used to, isn't it?
Yeah. What were just recent, or what was it that he was saying?
Oh yeah. This was after the death of Her Majesty. So, okay, you want Satan? Here's Satan on King Charles being proclaimed king.
And that in the discharge of these duties, I will be guided by the counsel of their elected parliaments.
And he says, trust Satan.
Trust Satan. Trust Satan. Trust Satan.
Oh my God.
There you go. There's trust Satan. Then we've got this. Where are we? Here's a freaky one. Listen to this.
Publish and proclaim that the Prince Charles Philip Arthur George is now, by the death of our late sovereign of happy memory, become our only lawful and rightful liege lord, Charles III.
And it says they both kill lover.
And they both.
So I don't know who both are, but lover. You immediately think of Princess Di, of course.
Yeah, there was actually, I don't know if you know this, and I've been trying to decipher this, but apparently there was some sort of a EVP or some strange voice that came over during the funeral.
I've been trying to get it. I want to hear it. I don't know.
I think I have it in my files. I could probably dig it out during the break, but I'd like to play it. It sounds like Princess Diana talking about how the Queen she's trapped. It was a strange conversation that said it bled into, it was either an off mic or something happened, and it sounds like Princess Diana speaking. It's really a creepy thing. I'm gonna try and dig it up during the break, and I'll play it for you. I was just wondering if you reversed it at all.
No, I assumed it was the EVP when I read about it.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Sounds like EVP.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'll do is during the break I'll find it and I'll play it for you. That way you'll get to hear it because I don't know if you've heard it or not. And then we're going to get into some more. We're getting into some more of these reversals talking about the future that David played a little under 6 months ago, predicting a future with like Biden talks about Armageddon, but also predicting a future where a number of religious figures and others speak openly or invoke, I guess, Satan, which is a very creepy thing when you consider that now new research has shown that more and more people are falling away from Christianity and have decided to join satanic groups, Wiccan groups, pagan groups, some even Nordic groups. David John Oates with us tonight on Ground Zero. Numbers to call 503-225-0860. It's 503-225-0860. Back with more Ground Zero. Don't go away.
Kind of murdered song that friends and neighbors said didn't make sense.
Squad laughing. Damn, bro, you got the whole squad laughing. Damn, bro, you got the whole squad laughing.
Life's not pretty, even though I try so hard to make it so. Oh, stick and move.
We're talking about when you hear music and lyrics forward, and then you hear those same lyrics backwards, and it's a message forward, and those same words are a message backwards.
Lie back and dream of me. Red death to set you free. Return the screw to make you die.
And we're not only talking about that, we're talking about a song that wasn't engineered to be heard backwards, but came right from the spirit world automatically. Okay? And then we're talking about, if you wanted to make lyrics backwards on a song, you're going to mess up that song forward pretty bad, right? Well, Stairway to Heaven is the most popular song in rock and roll.
Laurel, Laurel, Larry, 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 Larry.
The music is reversible, but time. Turn back. Turn back. Turn back. Turn back.
Meanwhile,
I'm Clyde Lewis. You are listening to Ground Zero. Numbers to call tonight, 503-225-0860. David John Oates with us. We're talking about reverse speech. We're talking about how a couple months ago he came on the program, and a lot of the reversals he played were people talking about the coming of Armageddon and the coming of Satan, which is very, very terrifying. We heard Prince Charles speaking, and now King Charles speaking about Satan. We've heard Biden talking about Armageddon. So I was telling you, David, that I have, and I had to dig this out and find it. Something happened during the funeral of the Queen. Apparently, ITV News reported that something came over the air. They don't know what it was, a hot mic. They don't know what it is, but a lot of people are speculating and are scared because what it was is it was a helicopter that was flying over the cortege of the Queen, focusing in on it, and all of a sudden you hear these voices whisper, or this one voice is whispering something. And what I hear is death is irreversible, but she is trapped. And whoever it is talking about the Queen, and a lot of people believe it sounds like Princess Diana. Listen to this.
That death is irreversible, and the fact that she's trapped.
As you can see.
Death is irreversible, and the fact that she's trapped. Let's play that. Let's see if I can play that one more time. This is you can hear the helicopter sound in the background.
Yeah, it's quite clear.
Yeah, and this is not. They said it went over the air temporarily. A guy was about to make a speech, and it just came over, and they couldn't control it. You know what it was? Some people are saying it was Princess Diana saying, "Death is irreversible, but the fact that she's trapped," and they immediately cut it off.
Death is irreversible, and the fact that she's trapped.
As you can see.
There you go.
Oh my God, that does sound like Princess Di.
Yeah, they say that. A lot of people say that was Princess Diana trying to speak to people during the funeral.
Oh, can you play it backwards?
No, I wish I could. I was hoping that. I don't know if you can.
You call it to me. I can play it backwards live on the air.
Oh, you can? Let me. I'm going to say it's in a Twitter account that I got.
Is it? Oh, it's not an MP3 file?
Well, no, it's off of Twitter, so you could probably record it during the break. I'm sending it to you via. Oops, sorry. Hold on. Let's see if I can send this to you here. Okay, I just sent it on my Skype, so you'll be able to see the link. And then it has a number of different versions of it, but that's the one. And you just play it, and I don't know if you can reverse it during a break or something to see if there's anything being said, but. Yeah, once again, let me play it one more time just so people can hear it again. This is allegedly an EVP of Princess Diana saying, death is irreversible, the fact that she's trapped.
That death is irreversible, and the fact that she's trapped.
As you can see.
There you go.
That is incredible. That is staggering. Oh, my God.
Isn't that creepy?
Wow.
Yeah, they're still trying to figure out what happened. They don't know what happened, but it's still creepy to listen to. It's certainly
an EVP.
Because it does.
Right?
It's an EVP of Princess Diana. It sounds like Princess Diana.
It's an EVP.
Yeah.
Sounds like Princess Di to me.
Yeah, me too.
The young voice, that British accent, you know, it's wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I wouldn't want to be in Her Majesty's shoes right now.
No, yeah. The fact that she's trapped and then the guy talks over her. Do you have any more? Do you have any more from King Charles III? Because I mean, while we're on the royal family, we might as well talk about this. Because I've had, believe it or not, we had Tim Cohen on the program, we had Chris Everard on the program, all talking about the possibility the royal family is going to spin us the Antichrist, whether it be Prince William or Prince Charles. And do you have any more reversals that would indicate that something is afoot?
Well, yeah, not directly, but here's one here.
In this purpose, I know that I shall be upheld by the affection and loyalty of the peoples whose sovereign I have been called upon to be.
And it says, soul beat with the throne. It means he will be totally committed to the throne down to his soul.
Right.
But if you remember, reversal said, trust Satan. So we know where his soul is at. So the reversal would imply it would be Satan on the throne. And here we got another one talking about his rule.
I understand that the law requires that I should, at my accession to the crown, take and subscribe the oath relating to the security of the Church of Scotland. I am ready to do so at this first opportunity.
And here he says, the rule of that mud.
The rule of that mud.
The rule of that mud. The rule of that mud. That's quite clear. It's going to be a nasty, sticky, horrible rain.
Definitely. I mean, and it just goes to show you how he feels about Scotland, I guess, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tensions, again, I mean, I've heard the tensions about Ireland and Scotland, and maybe this is going to create those tensions once again in the kingdom. I don't know. There's just so many things that are being, I guess you could say, speculated about with regard to his reign, how he's going to be even-handed with the kingdom, whether it be Scotland or Ireland or all these other areas that have been in the past a lot of tensions with the monarchy. We do know that, of course, there's always this fight as to whether or not the true monarchy would be Scotland and not what we see in London. But I mean, it's just, once again, it's a medieval play that if you're following it, it gives you the creeps, because it certainly talks about divine bloodlines and all kinds of other crazy stuff leading to the possibility of the reign of a once and future king, which would probably be like King Arthur or some other Rex Mundi world king. 503-225-0860. It's 503-225-0860. More dark reversals about the future from David John Oates, just talking about what he revealed to us just months ago and how it's all coming true. 503-225-0860. We'll be back. David John Oates with us tonight on Ground Zero Reverse Speech, and we're very happy to say he's going to be in the Aftermath.media library tomorrow, 2 p.m., do a webinar. You may want to check Aftermath.media to find out when. There'll be a place to click in where you can go into our library and hang out with David. It's a huge webinar that he's going to be doing, so I don't think you need to sign up. You just need to show up tomorrow at 2, and you can be a part of that. David, as we're getting ready to wrap up this hour, I just wanted to go back and re-listen, or at least go over some of the what we call the prophetic reversals about the darkness that is coming. There are a lot of people that are concerned about a possible window that's going to start on September the 24th, and it may go well into the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur days, the religious high holy days. There have been a lot of reports of heifers being flown in, red heifers being flown into Israel, that they want to start building the temple again. The Pope has been, speaking about they need to bring the money in to the Vatican by the 30th. There are a lot of things happening that are really, we're rushing into things. And I know that even the World Economic Forum has been rushing into things and what they're planning on doing with their reset. Do you have anything more that you can play for us that you played a while back that would indicate that more of this is coming?
Yes, I certainly do. There's a reversal here. I don't know whether this is on a client or a politician.
He really wants
This
to
is on a
finish
client.
that project with me, or whether he wants to go his own way on his own project. So,
And this one says there's dark wars, plural. There's dark wars in the air.
there's dark walls in the air. There's dark walls in the air.
Another,
There's dark walls in the air.
another reversal about something coming.
Yes.
And of course, we have these classic reversals here.
I believe that all the world leaders that are on our side and working for righteousness.
And this one says World War.
World War. World War. World War.
Yeah, I mean, I've had these reversals for a year or more now.
That's the feeling that everybody has. They have that feeling that there's a world war that is going to happen. I mean, the Pope just declared, I think, World War III about 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
and there's got to be a reason why he's calling back all that money into the Vatican banks. He wants it in there by the 30th, by the end of the month.
Incidentally.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was say someone emailed me that Diana clip. There is a reversal in there. I played it I did it during the break.
What's the reversal?
I believe in attack. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the forwards.
Death is irreversible.
Death is irreversible. And I'm pretty sure it's I believe in attack. Yeah, I believe attack.
Death is irreversible.
I believe attack.
I believe
Wow.
attack.
I'll do it again.
Of
Of course, that
I
could be about a
believe
war coming too, couldn't it?
I believe attack. Play that one more time. I mean, it's sort of a B reversal, but play it.
Yeah.
That death is irreversible.
I believe attack.
I believe attack.
Oh, attacked ED, I think. Hang on. Let's do it again. Hang on. I think there's an ED on it.
That death is irreversible.
I believe attacked. I believe attacked.
This is...
As you can see,
no, it's just I believe attacked. Wow.
That's amazing. There's a reversal in that as well, which once again, usually when, you're dealing with EVP, whenever EVP is used, you always seem to find reversals in EVPs as well, right?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, they're actually prolific with reversals. I think it's the pure consciousness speaking. That's why it's dual. You have both the forwards and the backwards on a lot of genuine EVPs. I haven't done a great deal of work with EVPs because my field's reverse speech, but I'm actually quite interested in it.
Yeah.
And I got a whole file of EVPs in my computer that I found over the years.
Yeah, we've. I remember back in the day, people were curious about reversing EVP to find out if there's anything hidden in an EVP. Let's go quickly to Jose in Texas. Hey, Jose, you're on Ground Zero with David John Oates.
Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller. I actually brought up this point, and it was about how we're more susceptible to what the media is showing us, and it's because our generations are dying, the older generations, the more religious ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel that's why we're being introduced to all these things. I had mentioned this to you in one of the webinars you had. And another comment I'd like to make is that reversal for me is terrifying personally because I feel like I know I've done a lot of things in my life, and to hear the truth, I mean,
it is that voice. It is that voice that's it's that voice that's hidden. It's the unconscious mind and the voice that is hidden. At least that's what you say, David, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's the hidden voice. It's always there. It's always been speaking. It's been hidden because it's backwards.
You have a reversal that says something to that effect, don't you?
Oh, I don't know which one you're talking about.
It talks about how reverse speech is that voice. It is the voice, the voice that speaks to you from the unconscious mind.
Oh, right. Yes, I know the one you're talking about. Okay, let me just pull that up real quick.
Okay, because that just says it all, and if people want to know what it's all about, you just listen to this, and it tells you what reverse speech certainly is.
Yeah, actually, well, actually, I've got quite a few reversals that say what reverse speech is, but this one is quite apparent. And it's me on a radio show talking about the spiritual aspects of reverse speech.
Okay.
Some people ask me, does reverse speech endorse any particular religion? And the answer to that is no. There are no deities or religions that reverse speech endorses or says this is right or this is wrong.
And it says, it's the voice in heaven. I don't know what this one you're thinking about.
Yeah.
It's the voice in heaven.
Because heaven I see as the unconscious. It's that voice that's coming from deep down within, that unconscious.
Yeah, it comes on that those frequencies that are deep in us. And of course, Carl Jung talked about the metaphoric self, the idea that we speak in metaphor, we think in metaphor, and it's all conjured in dream time. That deep within us, our bodies are constantly taking information, and we take it both reverse and forward. I don't think a lot of people understand that when you look at something, the image that you see is projected on the back of the mind in reverse. It's upside down, and then the brain and the eye takes that and it puts it right side up again. So it just goes to show you that the body is analyzing information both forwards and backwards. And even if it's some people who say it's pareidolia or something, ear pareidolia, doesn't matter. If the message is sent, the unconscious mind gets that message. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. Yes, it does indeed. People sometimes ask me, you say this is a spiritual phenomenon, but why does it have so many references to Satan? Doesn't it mean it's satanic? Well, the answer to that is simply the human soul is quite dark, and it's giving us an accurate reflection of the human soul.
Well, it's dark now. I mean, I haven't really remembered a time where we had so many words coming out of people in reverse about Armageddon and death and Satan. I mean, it's never been that way in the past. I mean, I've known you now for 30 some odd years. And
never in the 40 years I've been doing reverse speech have I found any references to this. It's only in the last couple of years, and it's coming out everywhere.
Right. And we got more to come about current events as well with David John Oates. If you have any questions, 503-225-0860. That's 503-225-0860. David John Oates with reverse speech. Remember, he's going to be at aftermath.media in our library tomorrow at 2 p.m. for a webinar. You want to check that out. So get up, get in, and there'll be a link available when he's ready to produce it, ready to show it off at aftermath.media. That's aftermath.media. Back with more Ground Zero. Don't go away.
Is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Join me on a journey where getting lost is the only true destination. For the past, present, and future all coexist on the same timeline. Where happiness is an illusion. This is the future we are in right now. Where our phones are the first things that we touch when we wake up, the last thing we touch before falling asleep. Radiant, seductive screens we so lovingly, endlessly gaze upon. Much like you're doing right now. All welcome to a future where our true reflection is only revealed once the screen goes dark. Welcome to the darkness. I hope you find it enlightening.
The loudspeaker spoke up and said,
Wait, Jimmy.
The loudspeaker spoke up and said,
Wait, Jimmy.
The loudspeaker spoke up and said,
Wait, Jimmy.
Give up. Give up. Give up. Give up. Give up.
Wait, Jimmy. Wait, Jimmy. Wait, Jimmy.
I'm Clyde Lewis, and this is Ground Zero. The numbers to call tonight, 503-225-0860. That's 503-225-0860. When you listen to the reversals and you understand that deep within our unconscious that we somehow form these thoughts and they can be converted back in reverse, it's something that the brain can do on its own. We just don't take the time to listen. But we do get the feeling sometimes that someone is conveying a message to us. We can't pinpoint it. We feel an eerie feeling when they speak, or we get a sense that they're not telling us the truth. It's important to look at how historical and current cultural and political landscapes have and do seem to feed the criminal mind. They seem to feed this apocalyptic morality that I talk about. How we're all experiencing what is called the decline effect is, well, we have to ask ourselves if we're just rationalizing that some things are truer than others, or that the truth has now changed to fit the spirit of the times. Look, you look at the decline effect, and when it comes to our children and how we expose them every day to deviant behavior and political grooming from teachers and other trusted adults, if we speak out against it, we're insensitive to the needs of the protective class. The question is, what is it they need exactly when a drag queen shows up to read a story in the local library? What are they looking for? Children are now taught about masturbation at school, age 3 to 6, and parents are being told, well, that's compulsory. Not grooming, not sexualizing children, not insanely creepy, not inappropriate. It's compulsory. Now, you can call it a conspiracy all you want. There's a very dark and heavy agenda at play. So is the gender confusion indoctrination, and the virus fear indoctrination, and the misplaced sense of responsibility indoctrination, and the climate fear indoctrination, the manipulation, the guilt bashing, the need for a convenient cashless society indoctrination, the idea that we need to chip people indoctrination, the fear to stand against the norm, and the science du jour because the herd will leap on you like an angry pack of pre-programmed hyenas, and you'll deserve everything that's coming to you, indoctrination. It's all coming into schools for a reason. It's all wrapped up in your daily dose of propaganda. More and more, it's not even covert. It's insidious. As I said, it comes to your schools. It comes in government. It comes everywhere. And we just have to be aware of what it is and listen directly and listen carefully to what is being said. Tonight, David John Oates is with us. Reverse Speech, his seminar tomorrow. You want to check it out at 2 p.m. Go to aftermath.media and get involved with it. So, I guess where to begin here is, going back to what you played with Joe Biden talking about Armageddon.
Yes.
This is certainly something that is on everybody's minds because we keep hearing about possible attacks, possible crashes economically, all of these things. And I think the only time since, probably it was his Philadelphia speech where he was there and you saw the red lighting behind him and it looked like he was a tyrant. But he was also on 60 Minutes recently. I was just curious if you have any reversals from the time he was speaking in Philadelphia through the 60 Minutes appearance.
I have reversals on both of them.
Good.
Actually.
Yeah, well, I'd love to hear them because I had somebody actually send me an email saying what they wouldn't give to hear reversals on what he said in Philadelphia and what he said on 60 Minutes.
Oh, well, there you go. I'll be able to fulfill both of them for you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start with Philadelphia. Now, where have I got that one under? Okay, so, all right, okay, so here's the first one. Here is he starting his speech. This is the Philadelphia red background speech.
Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
There he goes, hormone cons.
Hormone sons. Hormone sons.
He's getting him.
Hormone sons.
I interpret that as he's getting them all worked up, getting hormones functioning, running,
Yeah.
Just
conning them and getting their hormones outrageous, having everybody on steroids, getting
That's
angry.
right.
Yeah, I get it.
That's right. Then we've got this one here. Oh, that didn't open. Oh, that wasn't the thing. Okay, we'll try this one. Okay, here we go.
It's not. It can never be an acceptable tool. So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America, period. None, ever.
Now, I think this reversal occurred before Her Majesty died. It says, none, they rape a crown.
None. Hear it? None. Hear it?
Oh.
None.
They rape the crown.
That's a little bit unclear to hear that last word, isn't it?
Yeah, well, again, you're right. He said that before the Queen died.
That's right. Yes, he did. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Then we've got this one, and then we can look at 60 Minutes.
We saw law enforcement brutally attacked on January the 6th. We've seen election officials, poll workers, many of them volunteers of both parties, subject to intimidation and death threats. And can you believe it? FBI agents just doing their job as directed, facing threats to their own lives from their own fellow citizens.
Goes stealth. He gets the terror. You know what? That verse is not all that clear as I thought.
Well, it sounds, when you're talking about stealth and we're talking about clandestine moves, there was always that discussion that apparently Biden is using the FBI as a secret police. He's using the FBI as the new Gestapo, and that they're moving about in a stealth way. They're coming after American citizens. They went after Mike Lindell. They stole his phone, moving about stealthily, and eventually they're going to be hiring these 80,000 agents, these IRS agents, to come stealthily door to door and to collect taxes from people. And if they don't comply, they'll be shot.
All right, I got a couple of reversals about that. Here he is denying he knew anything about the MAGA raid, the Mar-a-Lago raid.
Oh, okay.
President, how much advance notice did you have of the FBI's plan to search Mar-a-Lago?
I didn't have any advance notice. None. Zero. Not one single bit. Thank you.
And here he says, they will miss no one, worries none.
They will miss no one, worries none. They will miss no one, worries none.
I interpret that. They're going to go after everyone. He knows all about it. He knows exactly what's going on. He's not the least bit worried. They're going after them all.
We got more coming with David John Oates tonight on Ground Zero, 503-225-0860. That's 503-225-0860. Don't go away. A lot more to come right here. We'll be back. David John Oates with us tonight on Ground Zero. Reverse speech tonight, just going over some of the headlines and news, reversing them, listening in. It's very interesting and very telling about what's going on behind the scenes. We recently were listening in on something that Biden said with regard to Mar-a-Lago. Do you have any more things on Mar-a-Lago, Dave?
Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, I got oh, yes, I do. What am I talking about? Yes, I got lots of stuff on Mar-a-Lago.
Okay.
Let me just quickly go to this file. These are actually controversial reversals on Mar-a-Lago. This is on Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, and I'm going to play two reversals on him. He's asked about the raid. He doesn't comment.
Well, as I'm sure you can appreciate, that's not something that I can talk about, so I would refer you to the department.
He says, Trump's that issue.
Trump's that issue.
Trump's that issue. Trump's that issue. So there he states it quite up front, and then he says it straight after.
Trump's that issue.
Our partners in Iowa and Illinois, and any threats made against law enforcement, including the men and women of the FBI, as with any law enforcement agency, are deplorable and dangerous.
And he says, I pay to ruin him.
I pay the moon. I pay the moon. I pay the moon.
Are they talking about Trump?
Yeah, talking about Trump.
They're trying to ruin him. Trying to ruin him.
I pay to ruin him. Now, who did he pay? Well, I can actually tell you that. Here we go. Here's the Attorney General, Garland.
Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week.
He says the guy paid it.
The guy paid it. The guy paid it. The guy paid it.
I don't know what money exchanged hands, but there's no doubt in my mind money exchanged hands between the FBI and
some
other
person. Yeah, somebody in power is paying to have this go on.
Yep, and they're not over. Listen to this one on Garland. They haven't finished with Trump yet.
Every day, they protect the American people from violent crime, terrorism, and other threats to their safety while safeguarding our civil rights.
And he says he'd face further stealth.
He'd face further stealth.
He'd face further stealth. He'd face further stealth.
Of course, they've just now trying to get into stop trading in New York State on claiming that he overinflated property assets. So,
Wow.
So they haven't finished with Trump by a long shot.
Not at all. Let's go. We got a caller who wants to ask a question. Hey, Mark, Kansas, you're on with David John Oates. What's the question you have for him? Mark in Kansas, hi. You have a question for David.
Yes, I was calling to see about if you had anything about the war in Ukraine from any of the leaders like Biden.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah, he's got a few. Go ahead. Hold on.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let me play you a freaky one on the ambassador. Oh, hang on. Where is it? I thought I had it in this file. Okay. All right. Okay. Here is Zelensky.
So, first of all, I just want to know how you are. How are you feeling? The House of Commons.
How you see? I think I'm feeling like all the Ukrainians. We are feeling strong.
And he says Europe may give up.
Well,
you heard what's going on with Germany. They may have to make a few conditions so they don't freeze to death. Otherwise, because Putin's very clear that Europe will freeze if they don't decide to back off. Putin said he will freeze people to death. That's too
surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Here's the Russian ambassador to London talking about Ukraine.
So far, I cannot say that it happened, but we are always prepared for a dialogue. We are always prepared for improvement of relations if it will be a way with bilateral way, of course. There's mutual desire.
Talking diplomacy forward, but backward they will bear evil defeat.
Evil defeat.
There you go. There's one on Zelensky, one on Russia.
The evil defeat, I think, would be the idea of using nukes, don't you? I mean, that would be an evil defeat. That would be the lowest blow. And, we're talking about the whole idea of dropping atomic weapons in the Black Sea.
Look, I know they've got reverse of it. I just can't believe Putin would be that insane. I mean, that would be the end of him if he used nukes. I mean...
but we're talking about a limited exchange, they're saying. See, that's the thing, is they're telling us that a limited exchange can be done. No one, there won't be mass casualties. There'll be a lot of casualties, of course, the ones that are in the targeted areas. But as far as the whole planet going up with a mutually assured destruction, they're telling us that it won't happen.
Okay.
They're telling us it's a winnable war, that, there will be winners, there'll be losers. And so that's the insanity of Putin. It's also the insanity of Biden, apparently, because you were saying that he made that. I mean, do you have that Armageddon one again, so I can get the creeps out of me?
Sure.
Listen to this. This is Biden talking about Armageddon.
Yeah, very obvious reversal. Where did it go? Here it is. Okay.
One of the great gifts of the spirit of independence, and think about this, one of the great gifts is our capacity to see ourselves whole and see ourselves honestly.
And you're not safe, Armageddon.
Armageddon.
It's so clear.
I mean, clear as day. I think that's probably the first time I've ever heard the word Armageddon.
I've never heard any president that you've played, from Clinton to Obama to Bush, even during the 9/11 attacks. None of the Bushes. Bush never said anything about Armageddon. Cheney said nothing about Armageddon, and now we have a president talking about Armageddon.
Yeah, first time I've ever heard it ever. I think I might have heard it once in a musical song years ago, in one song. But no, this is the first time I've ever heard it.
Yeah, any political figure using the term Armageddon in a reversal. In the times that we've done shows, I've never heard that I recall any politician using the term Armageddon in a reversal. So obviously, it's on the mind of Joe Biden. We're going to run into some. Hold on, we're going to run into some time problems, but I just want to get started on the idea that you also have some very interesting reversals from the 60 Minutes interview that he did.
Yes, I do. I just one reverse I want to play in the MAGA before we go to 60 minutes. Do I have time for one more?
Sure, yeah, one more. Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is the MAGA one.
We're going to end cancer as we know it. Mark my words. We're going to create millions of new jobs in a clean energy economy. We're going to think big. We're going to make the 21st century another American century.
Now, I think this reversal is an admission that he lost the election. He says, you can't serve, you lost, they scammed inaugural. You can't serve, you lost, they scammed inaugural.
Here's no surf, the scam inaugural.
Wow.
Here's no surf, the scam inaugural.
And again.
Here's no surf, the scam inaugural.
Is that an admission he lost the election? I think it is.
You can't serve. Do that again. What is it? You can't serve.
You can't serve. You lost. They scammed inaugural.
Do it again.
In other words, he can't serve as president. He lost the election, and the inauguration was a scam.
Here's no surf, the scam inaugural.
Here's no surf, the scam inaugural. Here's no surf, the scam inaugural.
Wow.
You got that one?
Wow. That's what's deep inside his subconscious mind, his unconscious mind. He probably deep down knows that, something was done. Levers were pushed to make things happen like this. It's amazing that's deep within his unconscious mind.
That's exactly how I interpret that reversal. I was stunned when I found it. Like, oh my God.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. So 503-225-0860. That's 503-225-0860. Tonight on the show is David John Oates. We're going to be back with more Ground Zero and more of your phone calls coming up, so don't go away.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask for your attention? Just for a minute. Soon you'll be caught up with the events taking place on the screen, and then you may forget all about me. Well, almost, anyway. You see, I must confess to a certain feeling of propriety towards the story that's about to begin, because, immodest though it may sound, I play an extremely important part in the proceedings.
You must understand the meaning of any facts you wish to remember.
This is not normal.
We had individuals view a videotape of a bank robbery, and then some people described it.
This is not normal.
And the simple question was, what's the effect of describing the appearance of a previously seen face on people's ability to recognize it?
Pause for a moment. Pause for a moment.
This is an apple. Some people might try to tell you that it's a banana. They might scream banana, banana, banana over and over and over again. They might put banana in all caps. You might even start to believe that this is a banana. But it's not. This banana isn't banana. This banana isn't banana.
Damn, bro, you have the whole squad laughing. Damn, bro, you have the whole squad laughing.
Damn, bro, you have the whole squad laughing.
The music is reversible, but time.
It doesn't feel like we're thinking. It doesn't feel like we're thinking. It doesn't feel like we're thinking. I have to go.
I'm Clyde Lewis. You are listening to Ground Zero. The numbers to call tonight, 503-225-0860. Tonight, David John Oates had some very interesting reversals coming from political figures and others, and a lot of it is just really revealing, super revealing about what's going on. David was going to get into the interview that Joe Biden had on 60 Minutes and some of the reversals he got from that. So go right at it. Go for it. We'd like to hear some of those as well.
Okay, so this is from his 60 Minutes interview. Here is the first one. Here we go.
You're not arguing that 8.3 is good news.
No, I'm not saying it is good news, but it was 8.2 or 8.2 before. I mean, it's not. Maybe I can make it sound like all of a sudden, my God, it went to 8.2%.
He says, then it's number one.
Then it's number one.
Then it's number one.
What he's saying is, look, it's all the big news now. Everyone's talking about inflation. He's trying to downplay it forward, but in his mind, he's thinking, "Oh, this is a big deal.
This is a really big deal." He's thinking that
this is number one. All right,
right?
Yeah, and let me see. Here's another one. Don't know what this one is. Let's just play it.
Is the pandemic over?
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it.
And I go with all of it.
And I go what I want.
And I go what I want. And I go what I want.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go with all of it. Bye. Yeah, you go with COVID. It's gone. And so, see, that's the thing is that he says on 60 Minutes that COVID is over, but there's so many people that are still terrified that it's still around. And you look at the statistics, and people, once again, it goes back to that idea of what I said, the declining effect. When are we going to realize that, the truth, as we heard it back then, is not necessarily the truth now, that they've learned new things, but no, we still keep doing the same stupid mistakes.
Yeah, I know. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Can I play the A word? A 2-3-letter word?
What, ass?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so here he is.
How would you say your mental focus is?
Oh, it's focused. I have trouble even saying to myself my own head the number of years.
And he says, I'm an ass.
I'm an ass.
I'm an ass. I'm an ass.
Thought you get a laugh out of that one.
I'm an ass. Well, of course. This is it.
I was hoping I could play it.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, it just says it all right there, I think. I mean, look, say what you will about Trump, say what you will about anybody else. All these politicians are ass clowns. They're just clowns, and they've been clowns forever. And just the idea that we're at the expense of the American people. I mean, one of the biggest clown shows was this January 6th hearing. I don't know if you got any reversals off the January 6th hearing.
No, I don't.
Oh,
no.
well, that's too bad, because I would love to hear what was going on in the minds of these people that were just slinging the garbage and lying through their teeth.
Yeah, I know. No, I was going to do it, but I got sidetracked. I can't remember what happened. Something happened. Anyway, didn't get to it.
So,
Sorry about that.
Let's see. Just a few more things before we can get to the calls here. You were saying you had some things on the Uvalde shootings as well?
Yeah, I do. Let me pull that up real quick. I sort of, I don't, hang on, what's happened here? Sorry about that. I just pressed the wrong button. I lost my screen for a second.
Oh, okay.
I don't claim to totally understand these Uvalde reversals, so let me just play them, and I'll let you listeners decide, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so here's Texas Governor Abbott.
Days before yesterday, when these children were at school, some were receiving awards.
And it says, hoax cell.
Hoax cell. Hoax cell. Hoax cell.
I don't know what he means by hoax. I don't know. Then you've got this one.
There are family members. There are family members who are crying as we speak.
They're fraud.
They're fraud. They're fraud. They're fraud.
I mean, I'm not saying Uvalde didn't happen, but I can't explain these reversals.
Well, a lot of people believe that they were misled, that they were that the police didn't do their jobs, that the whole investigation is fraudulent, that they stood around and did nothing. I mean, that's probably, I think, what they're getting at is that there's that underlying feel of resentment and mistrust with regard to the police department, and the fact that they want to sue the police for that.
Yeah. I think that's what reversals are referring to. Oh, look, here's one about the devil. Let's play this one.
We all understand our work is not done. Our work must continue. And we will continue to discuss with legislators about all the potential avenues and pathways that we can take to make sure that schools will be even safer going forward.
And here he says, yes, the devil deal sex.
Yes, the devil deal sex.
Yes, the devil deal sex. Yes, the devil deal sex.
Oh, sex, energy, high energy.
Definitely.
Just high energy about the whole thing. And just one other reversal. We'll make this the last one. This is one of the safety officers at the school.
But I can tell you those officers that arrived on the scene and put their lives in danger, they saved other kids. They kept them pinned down.
Says, wide net, we fake it.
Wide net, we fake it.
Wide net, we fake it.
They didn't do their jobs. They didn't do their jobs. That's what I get from that. They faked their jobs. They just didn't come to work that day. They phoned it in. Maybe that's what it's all about. David John Oates with us. We're going to get some calls coming up. 503-225-0860. Remember, tomorrow in Aftermath.media, David John Oates will make an appearance. 503-225-0860. We'll be back. Questions tonight for David John Oates right here on Ground Zero. The number's to call 503-225-0860. We got Dion calling in from Utah. Hi, Dion. You're on with David John Oates in Ground Zero. Go ahead.
Kia ora. G'day, Clyde. It's good to talk to you finally. Been listening to you for 8 years since I moved here to the promised land of Provo. And I've got a quick question for your guest there, mate.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, I remember... Oh, sorry. Back in the 80s when I was messing around with the stereo tape deck or my portable... boombox and jammed up a cassette tape in there. I recorded the phrase because I took advantage of that opportunity when it jammed up. So I recorded the phrase from that Queen song, "Another One Bites the Dust." And it's true. Yeah. When you play your voice backwards, it says "Start to smoke marijuana." And I heard my own voice played backwards. So my question is, if I was to use my voice and I had a machine that could play my voice backwards right now, and I use the exact examples that you played on the air tonight, would my voice say those same phrases in reverse that you played on the air tonight?
It depends. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. If you can reproduce the words exactly the same way they were said, you'll get an approximation of it.
Yeah.
But generally, the general rule of thumb is two people saying the same sentence can get two completely different reversals.
A lot of it has to do with emotional response as well. I mean, and if you listen to that segment on that Queen song, he's speaking it in a way that's different. So you say, start to smoke marijuana? It says, it's fun to smoke marijuana, and it's because of the way he phonetically says it forward and backward.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just an interesting side note, there's a series of reversals we call constant reversals in reverse suites, about 100 of them, that always reverse to say the same thing no matter who says it.
Yeah.
And the word another one is a constant reversal. It always reverses to say marijuana no matter who says it. So there you go. That's
another one is always marijuana.
Trivia.
Yeah. I always thought that "we smell sausage" says "Jesus loves you" backwards. I tried that one time. Okay, Dean, thank you for the call. It's true. We smell sausage. Let's go to Brendan in Indiana. Hey, Brendan, you're on Ground Zero.
Hey.
Go ahead. You're on the air.
How are you guys?
Good.
So I was wondering, how deep do you think this thing's roots really go? I mean, you know, you look back to the CIA, the MK Ultra programs, and, you know, there's a good chance they know about this already, and they might be using it. Insofar as, you know, earlier you were talking about the masturbation, kind of subliminal messaging and the sexual subliminal messaging. I was wondering, do you think this is a purposeful thing? Or
David has, believe it or not, David was investigated. Was it by the CIA because you played a reversal that revealed where the Gulf War would begin?
Gulf War, yes, I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've actually lectured the FBI and the CIA, and if you Google reverse speech CIA, you'll get a page on the CIA's website that references my work. So, whether they're using it or not, I don't know. I've had consistent rumors over the years that they are using reverse speech. If they are, they're certainly not talking about it.
Didn't you get a letter directly from Dick Cheney talking about this, David?
Well, there was a yes, I did. The memo was leaked to the press.
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
Because was it Send the Seahawk Up that got you into hot water, or was it Simone in the Sand?
Simone in the Sands. Yeah, that was hot water.
Yeah, if you go through the history, Brendan, of what happened with David, he did some reversals that he played. One was talking about sending the Seahawk up, which of course the Seahawk was a battleship, from what I understand. And then it said Simone in the Sand was another reversal from Bush. And just the idea of saying that's exactly, we had no idea where the Gulf War would begin or the Gulf War was going to begin. And it said Simone, which is a Middle Eastern term meaning the wind or the storm in the sand, meaning that desert storm basically was what he was saying. Right. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. I mean, one more real quick before I go. What's the most chilling reversal you've ever done? Have you ever done one and you just get it chilled on your spine?
Oh, gee whiz, the most chilling reversal. It's probably your music reversal, actually, from AC/DC's The Night Prowler, if I can pull that up real quick.
Oh, you got one from Night Prowler? I know the one that chills me always. It's the one from Judas Priest.
Oh, right.
But do Night Prowler then, if you can do that one. I didn't know that was one on it.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Okay.
It's it probably classifies as one of the creepiest reversals I've ever found. Music first weekend, music, Night Prowler.
That's the song that inspired Richard Ramirez to kill, by the way. I'd let you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. The Night Stalker, Night Prowler.
Oh, I've got the whole song. I don't.
Oh, you don't have the reversal? Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well,
no, can't play it.
Do you have Beyond the Realms of Death with Judas Priest? That's one of my favorites. Here's one that gives me the creeps, Brennan. It's Beyond the Realms of Death by Judas Priest.
This is a classic reversal.
Yeah.
This is
listen to this one. This will give you the creeps. This is one that gives me the creeps every time I hear it. Okay, here we go.
Just to pulling it up right this very second. IJK. Hang on, I must
have got tons of reversals, Brendan. So he's going through them.
Yeah, I have got so many reversals in my files.
Gotta do a deep dive on that.
Hey, how do I keep it all in track? I managed to. Okay, here we go.
Here we go. This is the scary one for me.
So that was a forwards. He's singing Beyond the Realms of Death forwards, and backwards it's I Took My Life, long and drawn out.
Oh my God!
It doesn't get clearer than that.
That's pretty creepy.
Took my life. What's that?
Sorry?
It doesn't get clearer than that. Oh, are we talking? Sorry.
Judas Priest. It was Beyond the Realms of Death. You play it backwards. It says, "I took my life." Oh my gosh!
You hear that? You didn't hear that?
I heard that. Yeah, this is go to Shelby in Arizona. Hey, Shelby.
Hey guys, previous people talked about who the Antichrist could be, and they say Charles, and I know Clyde. You believe it's Prince William?
The Antichrist.
I was wondering if Yeah, and I was wondering if you got anything on Prince William, and I'm ready for you guys tonight.
Any Antichrist types of reversals for Prince William or Prince Charles?
No, I have nothing on Prince William at all.
Nothing. He doesn't speak that much.
No, he's pretty quiet. The only reversal I've got, I don't know whether I played this on your show, is on Prince Andrew admitting to putting out a contract on
Epstein.
Epstein.
Yeah, and I've always said that he did. Play that, because I've always said that Prince Andrew had something to do with Jeffrey Epstein's death, and so that just...
Yeah, this reversal's pretty straightforward.
All right, go ahead, quickly. We're running out of time.
Here's the forwards.
Nobody can prove whether or not that photograph has been doctored, but I don't recollect that photograph ever being taken.
And he says, Jeff had to get murdered.
Jeff had to get murdered.
Yeah.
Jeff had to get murdered.
It's creepy.
I've always felt that Andrew, or at least the MI6 or somebody had to go in and take out Jeffrey Epstein because of his...
I agree.
Anyway, tomorrow, 2 p.m., be there at aftermath.media. David will be there in the webinar. You're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be a great way to get your introduction to reverse speech. Once again, if they want to go to your website, David, where do they go?
ReverseSpeech.com. You can download all 15 of my books totally free on my website. Okay.
Fantastic. We'll see you tomorrow in Aftermath. First time for this. It's going to be a big deal. Thank you, David, for being on the program.
No worries. Thanks, Clyde. Bye-bye.
You guys have a great night. And remember, keep your mind where they can't get at it. You keep it at ground zero. It's already the weekend. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.